Now a special guest, a man that truly had a Hall of Fame career, and hopefully someday soon he'll get his due as a Hall of Famer. He is one of the all-time greats in the history of the NFL, a five-time All-Pro and a five-time NFL champion. Jerry Kramer, welcome, sir, to the Palin Update on SarahNET Radio.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me on.
Now, while a lot of people remember you from your great career with the Green Bay Packers, of course, some may not realize your connection to the Palin family, especially Chuck Heath Sr., Sarah Palin's dad. Can you tell our listeners about your connection to Chuck Heath?
Chuck was a running back at the Sandpoint High Bulldogs, where I went to high school, and he was also on the track team and basketball team, and he was quite an athlete. And a good pal, good friend of the family. It was kind of a surprise. Actually, my brother helped Chuck get a job when he first moved to Alaska. My brother had been up there some time. So the relationship goes way back to childhood days.
And this was in Idaho when you both lived there. What kind of player was Mr. Heath? Well, you were blocking for him, I guess.
Small, quick, and lots of guts. I mean, he wouldn't back down from anybody, wouldn't take anything from anybody, didn't say much, didn't have much lip, but got the job done and did it really well. But a great teammate and a good kid. When Sarah started receiving all this publicity, I went to my high school yearbook to see if Chuck had dropped me a note in my high school yearbook. And I found one, and it said, "Jerry, I don't like to write, so I won't, Chuck."
I love it, and he's still as funny today, let me tell you. He's got that wit, and I know he's passed a lot of that down to his kids, including Governor Palin. And you know, sir, everybody talks about Jim Taylor and Paul Hornung, but, you know, we have to also let people know that you blocked for Chuck Heath.
That's right. And he was by far the most appreciative. Those other guys felt that they were doing me a favor.
Now, through the years, through your career and through his big move up to Alaska with his family, and then you even had the chance to campaign for Sarah Palin a little bit in 2008. How was that, and what did that make you feel like as far as, you know, having a guy who was your high school teammate and now here's his daughter on a national ticket for the vice president?
Well, first of all, you know, it was... am I hearing this right? Is this correct? Am I making a mistake here somewhere? This is impossible. A kid from Sandpoint, Idaho, going to be on a national ticket, going to be a prominent person out in the world again, and so it was a bit of a surprise, to tell you the truth. And I really didn't. Chuck had moved to Alaska, and I had gone on to Green Bay, so I really wasn't aware of the size of his family or anything. But somebody, one of the news guys, called me and said something about Sarah Palin, and I said, "No, I don't know Sarah. I don't have any idea." And did you know a guy named Chuck Heath? Oh yeah, hell, I knew Chuck. He was one of my high school athletes, one of my pals. So it all started, and then, you know, I sat down and had a long conversation and a tall beer, and thought about the whole process and where Sarah had came from. I read, you know, about her being governor, and I read her background and her beliefs and what she stood for and everything else. And I decided that I would, I know that the world is run by consultants primarily, a lot of the world, and you can hire a consultant to do anything in the world for you or tell you any information you want to know in an hour or two or five. And so I'm saying, well, I know Sarah is a straight lady. She's honest. She's intelligent. She's gifted, but she's honest. The biggest part of that whole thing with me was her integrity. We can find somebody to tell her where the hell Somalia is, or, you know, anything else. But having the basic integrity, that's really hard to find. And so when I decided that she had that, and that she could get the help of anybody she needed, I said, I'm with her. I'm in, and I'll do whatever I can to help, and good luck.
Well, we've talked to a lot of pro athletes on this show, and so many involved in sports seem to have that kind of take on things. They're conservative, or they look for integrity. They look for that types of things in a person or someone running for office. Is that something you think that comes with the territory? The lessons you learn in sports are often conservative messages, often messages of hard work?
A couple things there. You live as a professional football player. You live in a vacuum of truth. If somebody tells you how strong they are and how tough they are and how bad they are, you'll say, well, buckle your hat and get in here and let's find out about it. Let's see what kind of a bad boy you are. So the con and the win maker, and those people who are just passing through trying to make an easy buck or steal something from somebody, they don't last very long in that world. And you tend to judge the rest of the world. If you play a significant period of time in the professional world, you tend to judge the rest of the world by the guys you've spent the last 10 years with. And there's an element of truth there, an element of integrity. And so you kind of think everybody is that way until you get out into the business community and the real world. For like I got in the coal business and a lot of businesses over the years, and first 3 or 4 times I got into a business situation and trusted a person, I ended up on the short end of the stick. And so I'm sitting there again talking to myself, and myself was giving me a little bit of a cussing, and I said, there are, at this time, 300 million people in this United States, and I haven't got time for every one of them to take advantage of me, so I better change my thinking a little bit. So I made some adjustments and just realized that there's a fairly significant segment of the population that really doesn't care about anything but their own pocketbook, and that's just life today and the way it is, and so we need to adjust and make allowances for that, and try to get on down the road and live our life a little bit.
Do you have a favorite memory that sticks out to you during your playing career? I mean, everyone talks about the Ice Bowl, of course, and I know it was great for you that you won the game, but it must also have been brutal playing in those conditions. But is that one of the top ones, or what's your favorite memory as a Packer?
It is part of it's the Ice Bowl, but there was a drive in those final seconds. We were down 3 points. We had 65 yards to go. It's now minus 57 on the chill factor. It's minus 57 at the end of the game. We had gained a minus 9 yards in the previous 31 plays, 10 possessions. Almost the whole second half, but 31 plays, 10 possessions, minus 9 yards. Now we got 4.5 minutes to go, 65 yards from the end zone, and we're looking at the past 31 plays, wondering what we're going to do now. And somehow we reach down, and everybody elevates their performance. And Boyd Dowler, Chuck Mercine, Donnie Anderson, Bart, Gilly, Forrest, Ski, Bobo, all the guys turn up the dial a little bit or reach down inside themselves and find something to get a little extra oomph out of. And you never know what that is, you never know what it's called. You never know if you get it or not until the final result. But I think it was a lot of that, what we found was Coach Lombardi and his philosophy, his beliefs, his principles. And so taking that ball down the field 65 yards with that team is probably, it's my proudest moment. And it was as a team that I think of those moments.
Chuck Heath told me he rooted for the Packers all these years up there in Alaska because of you, and Chuck Heath Jr., the same thing. They've been Packers fans up there in Alaska, and I said, it's appropriate. It's one of the few places that can relate to the weather in Green Bay.
That's right. What's interesting about current situation, everybody is doing the same thing they did 50 years ago for the Ice Bowl. That cold isn't going to bother me. We're only going to be out there for 2 or 3 hours. What can it do, And they're trying to talk themselves into the fact that this cold won't bother them. And subconscious is listening to this, and he's non-judgmental, so he's not sure. But you step out that door, and after about 20 minutes out in that 50 below zero, sub says, "You liar! Get me out of here! I'm freezing to death."
That's right. That's right.
So, it's 2 or 3 opportunities I've had to play in really extreme weather. I dressed for it. I used to go duck hunting when it was 25 below zero. So I put my down stuff on, I get all my gear on, and I get dressed for the cold weather, and now I'm ready for it, and I'm comfortable with it now that I'm prepared.
Now, I know this is a topic you don't push, but I want to bring it up. You're not in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. A lot of people are surprised by this. Chuck Heath Jr. was astonished by it. He went to look up what year you were inducted and then found out, hey, wait a minute, he's not even in there. And I'm going to say it if you won't. You should be in there. What's your take on that, and do you think that phone call is going to come eventually?
It's really a kind of an interesting thing. I was very emotional about it, first few years that I didn't get in, and I kind of expected to get in because I was getting a lot of recognition. I was part of the all-time 50-year team that went back with Red Grange and Bronco Nagurski and Ernie Nevers and Don Hudson and Crazy Legs. And so I was part of that team, which was a great honor. I mean, they only picked like 17, 18 guys. So you'd think, well, surely I'll be in the Hall at some point, and that would be a wonderful thrill and a wonderful thing. And it didn't happen. So I got my lip out a little bit and started sucking my thumb and pouting a little bit. And it went on and on and on. And finally I'm going, well, I don't know what it was, but I must have made somebody very unhappy along the way. And I am not going to let this impact my life or my career. It's been an absolutely wonderful ride. The game has been sensational to me. I got zero regrets. It's just been a moment, in a lifetime. It's just been, I couldn't ask for any more. I've been very blessed in the football world. And so I'm still puzzled by it. I get, recently there was a top 10 Packers of all time program, and I was among the top 10 Packers of all time. I mean, this was on the NFL Network about 2 days ago or 3 days ago. And I'm going, what? There's a half a dozen guys that are in the Hall of Fame that are not on that team from Green Bay. Well, what is that about? So it's a great puzzle, and it would be fun to find out precisely what it is, because I don't know. I got in a little tussle with the Hall of Fame representative in Green Bay at one time, and I came off the field, and Coach Lombardi has had his way with my backside, and I was not a happy camper, and he said something and I said something, the reporter, and I made an ass of myself and later apologized for it and explained the situation with the coach and everything, and he was fine. He later nominated me and backed me for the Hall, so that's the only thing I can think of that might be, a reason or a cause, but he was all right with it. We'd straightened it out, passed it up. So it is a mystery, and it's in a way it's kind of interesting because I'm getting so much conversation about it now. If I'd been in the Hall 25, 30 years ago, nobody'd care. It wouldn't make any difference. So maybe it's a good thing.
Well, Mr. Kramer, while you continue to be a gentleman about it, we'll push the issue because you, sir, clearly are one of the best the game has ever seen, and we thank you so much for taking some time with us today. Thanks for being here, and thanks for being so nice to a Bears fan.
You didn't tell me.
Of course I wouldn't tell you that before. It would never called me back.
Well, I have a warm spot in my heart, believe it or not, for the Bears. I love to compete with them. I got to be pretty tight with Mike Ditka way back in the day, and he and I had a lot of fun together. And quite a few of the Bears, Doug Atkins, I had a great relationship, and I thought he was a prince. And so a lot of them we kind of got along with. But come game time, it's a whole new deal. But, you know, in a sense, it's not really a whole new deal because you want the people you respect to respect you. You want the people that you like to think that you're a player. So it's not that you back up against your pals. It's that you give it 3 times what you normally would. And that's kind of how we played the Bears.
Mr. Kramer, thank you so much.
My pleasure.
Go to jerrykramer.com to see more on his Hall of Fame bid, all the hard work his daughter has been doing, plus links to the Facebook page and Twitter account promoting Kramer's Hall of Fame resume.